The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to The John Lebang Show.
Greetings, friends. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for joining me as we're winding down the 2020 excursion into The John Lebang Show. Got Thanksgiving coming up. Lots of exciting things over the next month or so. Good, exciting, and, well, some things that might be exciting, but something we might not want to partake in, but may nonetheless have to partake in. Thought I'd start the show, because I've got a lot to talk about, but I thought I'd start the show with a little bit of update on the Banger Music Awards, if I may. We've been doing really great. I mean, the numbers are, again, just blown it away. We have surpassed last year's numbers on the website. Vote tallies are way up as well, so that's a really good thing. We've reached maybe in the last month an additional maybe 30 or 40,000 people. So that means all you bands that are sharing the stuff and everything, you guys are getting out to way more people than you were getting out to before. And that's the idea by getting behind the Banger Music Awards and doing all this kind of stuff, is you're out there promoting yourself as well as promoting all the other bands, and all the other bands are doing the same thing. So it's a group effort on lifting everybody up, and you're getting your name in front of people that probably never heard of you before. So it's a really exciting time again. We're in the final few days of the Battle of the Jams. I can't believe it's almost over. It's amazing. Some hot matchups going on right now, and if you haven't had a chance to vote, go to the website www.jlebang.com. Look for the little link that says Battle of the Jams. It's in the middle of the page a little bit there, so scroll down a little bit, you'll find it. And then check out these bands, because we leave the links or the actual YouTube video of the song that's up for the matchup, and it's really cool because you can listen to both tunes and make an assessment. And if you're a new music lover, that's where you should be going to, because it gives you an opportunity to check out all these other acts that are going on that you may not have heard of before, and you might become a fan of one of these bands. I know some of our listeners have done that already with the band Vox and Stoneborn, and when Per was a thing, they've kind of retired from the situation there, but all these bands that have sent stuff in, they've gained fandom because of this. And I should say bands and fans, but it rhymes and real good there. So outside of that, got to get to a couple other things that are related to the music awards. One on the voting. I made a post the other day because I was noticing again that people were making up emails and then trying to send votes in. And I have to tell you guys, it's a waste of your time, because I'm diligent. And what you're doing now is making me angry a little bit, because we're talking in the levels of 60 and 70 votes sometimes over a course of a day, that from the same couple IP addresses, we're getting votes. And I'm having to just discount all those, because they're not valid emails. So we send everybody an email back. If you haven't noticed, it might go in your junk box, but that's okay. It's really to just make sure that vote is coming from some kind of valid email. So check your junk box, and you'll see if you voted that we're probably right there with just a little return email. Doesn't say anything on it, but we're just making sure that that's a valid email so we can count that vote. So I called out a band. I didn't call them out by name, although I'm getting very close. And I'm going to run a little video over this right now. If you're watching on the YouTube or our Facebook video for the Banger Music Awards, I'm going to run a little video showing you what we do when we get bad emails and how we make sure that they're not that they're fake emails. Just so you know, any of you who are doing this, and it seems to be coming from one particular area. We're pretty diligent on actually narrowing that down because we can judge when the vote came in and then go back to the time and go through our analytics on our website, find the IP addresses that were related to those times, and then we take note of it, and then we see a repeat. So anyways, that after I called the group out publicly the other day on our Facebook page, we noticed they even threw a thumbs up in there trying to act like it's not us. That stopped on their end, but their opponent all of a sudden magically started getting a whole bunch other on the other end with fake emails and stuff. And I know for a fact, because I checked the IP address, that it's coming from the same IP address that was doing it last time. And my thought is that I had warned that I will disqualify any band that is doing this, and I think they're trying to win through disqualifying their opponent, and it's not going to work. I'm too smart for that. We keep track of everything, and as you saw in the video, we send you back an email, and we get a delivery saying, hey, this is not an email address. Well, guess what? That ballot is gone. So all that time you stayed on the website, whoever you are, you're just wasting your time, and you might as well quit. When we come to the official ballot from the Banger Music Awards, it's going to be a lot different, too, because we have about a 3 or 4 step authorization or authentication there. And you're going to have to actually fill out name, address, where you're from, and we keep track of all that because we want to make sure that this Music Awards is not, loaded with a bunch of fake votes. We want real votes coming in because we want legitimate winners. I don't see why bands do this. It's incredible to think that you could just rig the system somehow, and maybe you can get away with it somewhere else. I don't know, but you can't do it here. But that you can just send in this massive amount of fake votes coming in just because it's 1 or 2 or 3 people working the system, and you're just staying on a website because you got nothing better to do. And then if you were to win, and then you pat yourself on the back for winning, no, you're patting yourself on the back for cheating. Oh, we did a great job at cheating. The people weren't diligent enough to notice that email after email coming in as a ballot coming in were seconds apart with all the same votes. Same. We catch on to that. So all the bands that are doing a legitimate job, and it is the majority of you, by the way. I'm just pointing out the fact that we have one act who was doing it the first 2 rounds that I caught on. I caught him. I didn't get rid of him because I figured I could weed out the bad votes, and I was doing a great job. But then it became a headache on my end, where literally we're talking dozens of ballots would come in with the same vote within a minute or 2. That doesn't happen on our website. I know how our website runs. I know what normally comes in with these ballots, and it's one every 5 or 10 minutes we'll get a ballot, because that's how people don't see all the social media posts right away, so they don't all jump on at the same time. And for any, it's an anomaly when you see 14 and 15 and 16 votes all cast for the same or the same band or the same act or the same song, and they're all within seconds of each other. That raises a red flag. It's like, whoa. It was like the U.S. election when all those miraculous votes showed up after they stopped counting for Biden, right? I was just like, okay, yeah, cheating, it's cool, I get it. Too bad I'm not running that election, but whatever. They should hire me. It'd be a lot better and safer, and everybody would feel confident in knowing that I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping the clutter votes, the unofficial votes, the illegal votes in check. But so all of a sudden, when I made that warning, they all of a sudden started coming in. All the fake things started coming in for their opponent, thinking I'm going to disqualify their opponent when I already know what's going on. I mean, people, it's funny how they insult my intelligence like that. They're not dealing with the run-of-the-mill dummy who just has some kind of show out of his basement, okay? We actually have a real production here. We're on dozens of stations. We have 3 shows that are on different stations all over. Combined, it's like 50 or 60 stations. We have a pretty decent YouTube following. It's just, we're not a run-of-the-mill, hocus pocus group here. We actually do the work, and we try to run a professional outfit. We may not make the money of the professional outfits, but we at least want to look legit and are legit, so nobody can come down on us and go, hey, you. We're about to stick around because we're only a week, not even a week away. It's going to be this Sunday. We've got you're going to know the entire ballot, and voting is going to start. And I have to tell you, the talent that's on this ballot is incredible. I thought last year's was great, and it was, but holy smoke, it was so difficult choosing not only the songs in each category to be nominated, but then we're getting down to the musicians, and we like to celebrate musicians. And our guitar hero category in particular was just, there's so many great guitar players out there. And when we were going through the damn thing, we're like, holy moly, what are we going to do? Bass players, it was the same thing. Although I think the bass players, there were certain bass players that really stuck out comparatively. The drummers too, holy cow. The drummers that have been, the bands that have submitted their music, we listen to all the musicians as well, and the drummers in these bands are just freaking awesome. And of course, we have the best male and female vocalists, and those lists are incredible. In fact, the female vocalists may be the best 5 candidates we've ever had, and that said a lot because our candidates that have been nominated in the past have been just excellent, including our past winner, Crystal Paya from Limberlost in Seattle. She's a great singer. And so it's going to be tough for you guys. And I'm hoping that most people won't just vote for their favorite and that's it. They come in 1 vote, 2 votes, and that's it. They're gone. Because if you're really a new music lover, you should be voting for, or at least tuning in and listening to, and that's going to be really cool for you because there's going to be a web page dedicated to each category so you can listen through the songs, which is, I think, a cool thing because you don't have to go search this stuff out. It's going to be a kind of a one-stop shopping for your voting. We're going to have the songs there available to you, and if you're just voting for one category like best music video or best hard rock song or best alternative, whatever it is, if you just want to vote for that, that's fine. You'll be able to listen to all the songs to make sure you go, hey, this is a great song, maybe I'll vote for them. And that's what we're hoping for. And we're also probably, because of the fact as another step in giving us a way to weed out the bad votes, we're going to make categories required to vote for, as well as you're going to be required your name, email, and all that. And it won't even send to me unless all these things are in there. So anybody who can just do the quick make a fake email and vote and go, it's not going to be that way. These are going to be because it's the real big ball of wax we're talking about now. We're talking about the full-blown Banger Music Awards. And anybody voting for the Music Awards, we're going to make sure they're real votes. And with that being said, folks, we've run out of time here in the first segment. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about cell phones, the millennials and centennials, the political situation out there, Trump, I don't know. We're going to get it all in because this is our big Thanksgiving show, and we're going to talk about Thanksgiving, I guess, at some point too. So stay tuned. We'll Be right back.
Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's better than an Ibrator convention.
I may not be in the, if you're watching on the Banger Cam, may not be in the prettiest version of John you've ever seen, but it's early today. We've got lots to do. Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving. And so after the show here, we're going to hurry up and start getting the house ready for the whole shindig. We start planning out our meal. I mean, we already have an idea. We're going to do some deviled eggs. We're going to do some little mini Mexican pizzas. I think that's going to be really good. In fact, we're going to crock pot the meat all day today for the Mexican pizzas, so it's nice and good. And we're going to sprinkle it on top of the bread with the cheese and all that. A little jalapeno for some, little no jalapenos for others. It'll be a really good thing. Of course, we're having turkey and mashed potatoes. I'm going to do a little corn and green beans, and that's just for starters. There's other things I'm going to be adding to the menu. I got to kind of figure that out as the day goes on. Maybe you want to leave some comments in the chat room or the comment section. Give me some ideas on what I could make. Simple stuff. We're having the family over. There's going to be no mask required here. And in fact, I hope nobody wears a mask because I'm going to make fun of them. We're going to talk about some of those things in the next segment or two as we go along with the show. This is probably going to be random outside of that first segment. But we're having lunch. And I know my family, they'll stay about 2 or 3 hours. I'll do my best to keep them occupied. But then they'll want to go. Some will have to go somewhere else. And others will just want to go home and watch TV in their own house instead of here. Because no TV here, we don't have the visual entertainment. We don't need the visual entertainment. If people want entertainment, I can play music from the Banger Music Awards. And I know they never heard it before. And it'll be just my way of, brainwashing them into listening to new music. We'll do some other things. I was actually thinking about having my brothers and sisters' kids come up and show up with like superhero outfits. We got the green screen going, as you can see. Well, you can see the background, but we got the green screen going. And maybe I'll do a little Christmas present for them in a little video form, and we have the kids come here and we'll film them real quick. I thought that would be kind of cool. Just a little mini movie for the kids to look back and just say, oh, wow, that was cool. But yeah, we're expecting, 8 or 10 of us. I don't think it's going to be all that big. I invited a couple friends. Most of them turned it down because they're afraid of the COVID or they don't want to be exposed. And what kills me on that one? I had a coworker tell me that their parents had a little sniffle or sore throat or something, and they ran out and got the COVID test. And then it turned out they didn't have it. It's like people have forgotten that there are other things besides COVID out there that can make you sick. And you shouldn't have to run out because you have a little sniffle or a little itchy throat or a little cough to run out and think it's COVID automatically. If it progresses and gets worse, then you got COVID, right? Of course, people are so afraid these days that they want to nip it in the butt just in case it is, right? With what? With what? Apparently, the vaccine's not here yet, although it's coming. The therapeutics, depending on who you talk to, are either working or they're not working, whatever they are. And what are they going to tell you to do? They're going to tell you to quarantine. So instead of running out and getting the test, I just... If you feel a little itchy, just stay home. That's it. You don't even need to take the test to know what to do. But people are so obsessed with the current boogie woogie virus that they think every little itch and scratch and pain, that means they might have it, and they're going to run out and grab the test and get the up their nose or the rapid test or whatever they call them. Ladies and gentlemen, get a grip on yourselves, please. There are other things out there that can make you sick. They didn't just evaporate from the environment of the planet just because the boogie woogie is here. It's like we've lost all our sense of critical thinking, or at least a good portion of us. And we're hearing if the Bidenster, the Chinese asset, does walk into that White House, and I'm holding back right now because I don't know. I don't know what Trump's got going on behind the scenes. No idea. There's been a lot of talk, but man, there's always a lot of talk. We know anybody who was critically thinking knows that big time shenanigans went on. Whether they're the Trump team and Sidney Powell, who's not really a Trump lawyer, we'll clear that up too right now. There's a lot of blah blah going on in the malpractice media about now the Trump administration distancing themselves from Sidney Powell. You've heard that, right? They clarified their position. In other words, Trump's not paying her. She's not officially working for Trump, but they're all, when they did that press conference, they were all the prominent people looking into the election fraud that happened. It happened. The people who deny that are doing it for one of two reasons. They either are too oblivious and don't know, for whatever reason, maybe they haven't been around enough elections to understand that when 3 o'clock happens in the morning, that is, and the votes are where they're at, it's pretty done. It's just a matter of finishing it out and going to bed. And we never dragged it out before. To some people, that's not an anomaly in the slightest, even though it is one of the biggest anomalies ever in the history of U.S. political elections. You don't just stop the counting in the middle of the night when votes are cranking in one direction. Usually it's done by then, and don't tell me they had to count the mail-in voting. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but usually the mail is delivered by about 5 p.m. That's before the polls closed in any city, state, or county in the country. You weren't counting then? You weren't counting those then? You held them off. We'll just get them later, right? We'll just get them later. See, that's hogwash, ladies and gentlemen, to think that they weren't counting the ballots. How do you think they know? They're counting all day. They're counting all day. Otherwise, they wouldn't know by 8 o'clock how the numbers were turning out when the polls closed. It is ridiculous for you to believe that the mail-in voting that came in and had to be in by 5 or 6 o'clock at the latest didn't get counted till the very end after they stopped counting, shut it down. They weren't counting, and all of a sudden they start counting again, and they had a bunch of votes one way. And I'm not talking start counting and that's all the votes ever. No, the votes changed as soon as because they were counting when they weren't supposed to be counting. Or doing something to make the counting happen. How's that sound? Depending on what your perspective is. But for anybody to believe what went down on election night was legitimate, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I was going to insult some people. I laid off. You're not going to tell me, though. I've been through dozens, probably a dozen presidential elections. Let's see. Let's count them again. We counted them the other day. 2 Trump, 2 Obama, 2 Bush, 2 Clinton. Wow, that's 8. Bush, that's 9. 2 Reagan, that's 11. Carter, 12. And actually, that's as far back as I can remember. I don't remember Ford. I don't remember, because I was young and that was nothing. But I've been around the block. And when I hear young people say, oh, it was the mail-in voting. Are you serious, right? You think they actually waited to the end to start counting them? All day they're counting. Once the votes are coming in, they're counting. They're counting as they go, because if they waited, it would take forever. Oh, and it did this year, didn't it? It did. We're still in some places having issues with counting. To this day. I believe Trump won the election. I wasn't for the guy. I wasn't for Biden either. But the way the numbers went, and I called it. Next day I was like telling everybody, the bull crap. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. When you're at 11:59 and you're up by 12 points, and I'm not talking 12 votes, I'm talking 12 points with hundreds of thousands of votes in your favor. That doesn't just eviscerate in a matter of seconds. Because they weren't supposed to be counting. How could the vote, when they restarted counting, the vote should have been exactly the same as when they shut down the voting. Apparently it wasn't. What's that all about? That doesn't raise a red flag, or don't you care? It's very possible, like I've said in the last two shows, the people who voted for Biden, well, they don't care if they cheated to win. They really don't. And so even in the massive or possible, I don't know what's coming from Giuliani or Sidney Powell, Trump teams. I don't know. But if they've got anything, I don't think it's going to matter. And the malpractice media is going to call it whatever, but they're not going to give it credence. And because of the court system, and I had somebody over at the party store, we were talking a little bit just yesterday, they think, oh, once it gets to the Supreme Court, we're all good, right? I don't know. You can't trust John Roberts for anything. He's been towards the left a little bit, as far as I can see. He hasn't been that great guy that George Bush put him up to be. I don't know how the thing's going to go in the Supreme Court. If it gets there, I don't know if they're going to hear it. I don't know how the electoral thing's going to go either. Because some people may vote differently because of the fact they know it was cheating. They know it was cheating. And in the end, what do we get? We're going to get one side, half the country, 70 plus million people who voted, one way or the other. You know, we know there's whatever, few million difference either way, but that really doesn't matter when we're talking in the millions, because one of those two sides are going to feel ripped off. It was stolen from them. If Trump pulls this out somehow, I don't know how he can, but because I think it's completely rigged. I think the court system's going to be rigged. Everything's going to be rigged along the way. They had 4 years to set this up, to put in all the gap stops, to make sure that they war gamed it out, folks. They know exactly how things are going to unfold before they do. One would say that was the plan all along, to ride this confusion right to the end until they're ready to spring whatever they're ready to spring on us. And that's the real thing at this point. The election almost doesn't matter anymore, because it's going to be the reaction to the end result, whatever that may be, that's going to lead the country into a very dark place. And we're headed, according to Joe Biden, into a dark winter. And if I were you, ladies and gentlemen, I would just Google Operation Dark Winter and see what that's all about. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Don't move a muscle.
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
I want to get into my latest purchase of a cell phone. I hadn't bought one in many, many years. In fact, the last one I actually purchased was probably 12 or 14 or so years ago. I like using my things for a long time. You know, I get every penny of use I can out of my equipment. I don't run through it like a lot of other people. So phones have changed in that time period. I've noticed it without actually purchasing it because I've seen other people's phones and the evolvement of the evolution is probably a better term of these phones, but they're not phones anymore. And that's the thing that was really bugging me is I just wanted a telephone that I could call people, receive texts, and that's it. I didn't want all the other features, but apparently those things aren't readily available. And if you're just going to a store somewhere to buy it, you can't find these things. Everything is a mini computer, a mini tracking device. It's a video recorder. It's a personal tool. And I just don't need these things like that. I needed a phone so I could go, hey, what you doing? Or, hey, yeah, I'll be there doing that for you. But I've talked to other people because I've griped a little bit about the new phones. I did buy one. It was one of them Androids or whatever. I hate it. It's like too complicated. It took forever just to set the damn thing up. That's why I like back in the old days, right? Back in the old days, you get a phone, plug it in, go, and you're done. Can't do that anymore. Everything is a chore. And when people tell me it makes life so much easier, I'm like, how? Well, you can do my banking right there on your phone. Yeah, and somebody can also get your banking information. I'm starting to think that people don't want to, it's like too hard to write, and it's too hard to read. And I mean, beyond like a headline. We knew that. It's just day by day, the reality of all that is weighing on me. You see, they made smartphones, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but they made smartphones for the people who aren't smart. That's why they need a smartphone. People who have solid critical thinking and analytical skills do not need a smartphone to keep track of their daily life, keep track of anything. But the population at large is not all that bright. And so they get a phone that covers for their handicap. But that phone, which connects you to everything, apparently, also connects you to a lot of garbage and gibberish. It makes it too accessible. And I've seen young people, and I'm not talking 18, 20, people that can actually have a job and earn money and pay for their own phone. That's great. That's freedom. Do it. But I'm talking the kids who are 12 and 13 and 8. They all have cell phones now. So they all have access to the fake news as much as anybody. And their minds are so impressionable these days. in fact, all young people's minds throughout the history of mankind has been impressionable. The people who want to control everything know this better than anybody. So they make it so that you feel like you have to have your kid have a cell phone. We got along without cell phones when we were kids. There were rules, we followed them, and we were home when we had to be home, and we didn't need a cell phone. And we were in earshot of mom. In other words, she could yell, "John, get your butt home!" And we would hear that. Today, that doesn't seem to be the case. Parents have given freedom, too much, in my opinion, to young people, their kids, including the fact that these cell phones, which allow them to access information that may not be accurate and can be poisoning their mind. We already have enough of that from the schooling system, let alone having access to it. And now that they're making you learn everything online at home because of the lockdowns that haven't seemed to do much. We'll talk about those in a little bit as well. And look what the cell phone has done. It has given rise to groups like Antifa. And did you see the Million MAGA March while people are trying to walk home, and what the Antifas and the BLMers were doing to these people? The Million MAGA March was a bunch of people who wanted to support Trump. Why would anybody go there for any other reason? But the Antifas and the BLMs went down there. Why? Because they weren't going down there for any other reason but to cause trouble. That's what it was. And you're telling me, all you people who support these people, BLM Inc., Black Lives Matter Inc., corporation. They're not a movement, ladies and gentlemen, they're a corporation. And their corporation is propaganda and fear. That's what they're selling. Oppression. That's what they're selling. You know, you try to explain this to the young people, but with all this information, they don't search out enough. Because if they would have, I know a lot of young people who voted for Biden. And I would ask them, and it was a couple things, but mainly it was because the guy was promising to remove their student loans. To get rid of them, to take care of them so they didn't have to pay for it. And that gets me right here. Because you guys took out the student loans. You didn't have to go to college. You didn't have to go there. I've got somebody who went to college who's not even in the field. They went to college, they got the student loan, they're not even in the field that they're in, that they went to college for. So that's why they don't want to pay for their student loan. They made a bad choice, decided to go to college for whatever it was. They got their little bachelor's degree in it, and they realized it was worthless. Couldn't do anything for them. Nobody wants that. You have to have some kind of actual skills to be in the workforce. And others just don't want to pay it. They think, shit, we got free education for 12, 13 years. Why not more? And you know what that means, folks? It's just worthless education. Anything that you don't have to work for and pay for out of your own pocket, you don't respect, you don't appreciate as much. And maybe failing at paying that back would be a nice life lesson. But unfortunately, these kids, not all of them, but a lot of them, and they all circulate with their social media because they've made sure that everybody is linked that way. And do you think it was for your benefit, or was it to trace you, to track you? Now all your conversations are stored somewhere. Don't believe me? Well, that's because you haven't researched it. And we don't continue to rehash the stuff we already know. You have to do some sort of education yourself. And when I talk to these young people, it's shocking how little they actually know. When they vote for Biden, they don't know anything about Biden. They don't know anything about the Democrat Party. You tell them that hundreds of thousands of white people died to freed slaves. And it doesn't register, right? It doesn't register. They don't know that the people that were trying to keep people on the plantation were people of the Democrat persuasion. They don't know that. They didn't search that out. They heard free tuition, no debt with your college, or no college loans anymore. We're going to pay for it. So they're going to vote for that guy. They don't know that the Democrat Party was the party of the KKK. They don't know that it was the Democrat Party who tried to stop the civil rights movement. They don't know that. Nobody taught them that. And because they weren't shown that, because obviously the education system isn't doing their job properly. Because you should know that. You should know that the Democrat Party wants to keep everybody on the plantation, not just one specific persuasion of skin color. And that's why they offer you porridge here and there. No tuition debt for college anymore. They're going to pay for your student loans. They're going to give you health care. I mean, it's not going to be great health care, but it's health care. And you're going to have somebody else pay for those student loans. You're going to have somebody else pay for it. And who's going to do it when the half of the population that really pays for everything, that's taxed to death, that works in this country, and I mean really works, not these part-time crap jobs somewhere. These people are not going to want to pay for you guys anymore. You guys are going to bleed them too dry. And you don't even realize that. You think the government should pay for everything, but it isn't the government that has the money to pay for anything. They have to steal it from somebody. That's why they created the Federal Reserve Act. Do you even know what that is? See, if you're voting and you don't know what the Federal Reserve Act was, or is, then you probably shouldn't be voting. And I think in a future video, because we're going to be doing videos while we're off here, in a future video, I'm going to go over the 10 things that you better know before you ever get to vote. And I'm not trying to disenfranchise people from voting. It's just, this is the United States of America. This is the one country that had the one document that freed people, really freed people. And don't give me the slavery thing, because I told you. It took some time, but hundreds of thousands of white people went to the rescue. And it was the Democrat persuasion, people of that ilk, that were holding them down and are still holding them down to this day. Take a quick break, folks, as you know what? We're up against it. Final segment coming your way right after this.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back.
After this.
That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan. If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John Lebang Show. It's huge. Now I got to tweet about it. So in our final segment here, I want to take the time to give thanks to just about everybody who's been a part of this broadcast over not only 2020, but the entire history of the John Lebang Show. The radio stations like Alien X Radio, Digital, Revolution Radio, Pure Rock Radio, Bubba Army Radio, Iron Radio. I mean, I could name so many different stations. 920 WON, the Apple, Jonathan Rios over there. Radio Vegas Rocks, Get Smashed Radio out in Seattle. We could go on for days. All these stations that have allowed us to be part of their network, I want to thank them very much. It's been really appreciative, or I've been really appreciative of the efforts that you've put in. Some more than others, but it's really great that I've had this opportunity to do this radio gig. I always wanted to do it. And after listening to my favorite radio talk show host, William Cooper, he just said, go and do it. If you want to do it, do it. And that's the kind of guy I've always been. And that's why I gravitated to that guy's style. And so I just went and did it. Started on the YouTube and went from there. And it's been an amazing journey. So I want to thank all of the stations that have been that have given me the opportunity to do this. Also, everybody who's tuned in over the years, from longtime listeners to newcomers, old, new. I can't thank you all enough. I wish I could do something personally for you to show my appreciation. We do our best to, have prizes throughout the year and stuff when we can, but it doesn't seem like I can ever express my gratitude for everybody who actually tunes in to the broadcast, because I know I don't have a large audience, and the audience that I do have, it being small, is a very special audience. You guys actually take the time to not only come to the broadcast and listen in, whether it's on one of the stations that carry us or it's on YouTube or wherever else you can get the broadcast, but many of you share the information, share our promotional material for our upcoming shows or whatever. So again, I just want to thank you all for everything, and I hope you guys, in this time of uncertainty, you guys have the best Thanksgiving you can possibly have, and treat it as if it is the last American Thanksgiving, because the way I see the world developing, it probably is the last traditional Thanksgiving we're ever going to have. Whatever the new world that is being born in the coming days and months, whatever that one is, it is not going to resemble the world of the past. And especially here in this country, I see a huge divide happening. The people have been very patient on the Trump side, unlike the other side, who burn and tear just at a whim until they find out all the facts. The people on the Trump side, I've actually been quite proud of them, and I'm not their supporter either, but they have waited to see how this plays out before they get pissed off. But I think it's coming. Somebody's going to be really angry at the end of all this. So I want you all to really take the time and appreciate what you have this Thanksgiving. Make sure that you're really taking the time to soak it in, because the way things are going, They're going to try to lock us down before Christmas, and there's a reason for that, folks. 12/21 is on its way, and I'm predicting we're going to be in a pretty heavily locked down country by then, unfortunately. So keep preparing. I don't know how much time you have left on Thanksgiving. Keep your awareness up, because we don't know when these things are going to be sprung on us, or when something new, I should say, is going to be sprung on us. And we better be all aware. So while you're enjoying your Thanksgiving, also in the back of your mind, keep your awareness up. Check to see what's going on. Again, prep to your heart's content right now until we can't prep anymore. Because I believe there's going to be a day when, and we're starting to see the shelves even more empty than before. There's going to be come a day when shortages are going to be so bad that the food lines are going to be astoundingly long. And when you think about this, folks, that we're now, 8 months, maybe 9 months into something that should have been 15 or 20 days long in a curve, what they were telling us in the beginning. If you haven't figured out that something is up that is not about the boogie woogie, then you're missing a whole lot of stuff. As we move into the holidays, enjoy what you can, and keep tuned to the website, www.jlebang.com. If you don't know by now, keep tuned to the website. We're going to be doing things here and there to keep you guys up to date. We need the break, but we don't want to take too much, lose too much time in the process. It's a very important time, and we all need to be up to date. Thank you again, all the people, and this is another thank you for sending me information subjects that I might miss because I'm one guy here and we don't have a massive research crew. So everybody that has sent links to me even in the past week, which is like 7 or 8 of you have been really great about it. That's what we need to do, is share information. Now, some of you haven't done the research on these things before you sent it to me, and I found out that it was not exactly what you sent me. I appreciate it. Maybe do a little more work into it. And maybe I need to do a video on how to verify information before sharing it. That's probably something that would be great. In fact, if you're watching the YouTube video right now, or you're in the chat room of one of the stations, even send me an email at jlebang@live.com. Send me something that I should focus on, like make a nice little 8 or 10 minute video on over the next coming weeks. And maybe I will. It'll be interesting to just have one specific topic with details to where it should help everybody. And I think one of the first ones will be how to verify information before sharing it. Because we don't want to be censored at all. And the fake news blockers over there at Facebook, which we know they block good, solid news too, Twitter and all those places, if we need to be pin perfect with our information so these things don't come up, because it makes you as a person a not credible source if you're sharing information that Facebook deems fake news or whatever, or inaccurate information. So maybe instead of sharing someone else's video that possibly could get flagged for something, we'll work out on making a video on showing you how to verify it so that you can make a video to share the information instead of someone else's video. But that's just me. I think we're in desperate need in this country of having verifiable, solid, truthful information because of the massive propaganda that unfortunately the young people are are under a barrage. They are so propagandized, and what they don't understand is they're vulnerable to the propaganda more than people that have been around and understand that how propaganda works. They really don't understand it. So when the GF thing happened, or some of the other BLM episodes happened, all they saw was the propaganda, and they didn't see the full story. And you try to tell them the full story, and once propaganda has been soaked in to a point where that's what a person believes, you almost can't break the programming from there. And unfortunately, from what I'm seeing with the direction of the country, there's going to be a point, and it's unfortunate, it's ugly, I don't even like saying it, but there's going to have to be a purging of some sort of the people who have bad information. Unfortunately, they've been so brainwashed. I don't know how you save them, and they're gonna go to extremes to destroy other people, like those people that went to the Million MAGA March, and they only went there to counter protest and to pick fights and stuff. They're so brainwashed that they can't just leave other Americans alone to do whatever they want. Would they go there if that was a Million Gay March and do the same thing? Or is it okay that because these people were Trump supporters, you can treat them like inhumans? Because no matter what anybody says, Trump has his faults, but he's nowhere near as bad as the people who hate him say he's as bad. And he's nowhere near as good as the people who love him. He's somewhere in the middle there. He's gotten nothing much done. Some would blame this and some would blame that. But he hasn't acted all Hitler on anybody. Governors, like Witless Gretchen and others, now they've acted like Hitler. And it's funny how the Democrat Party and Democrats themselves will run to those dictator types. They don't know that those same types were the ones that enslaved people in the past. And they're running to them, and eventually they're going to be the first ones slaughtered when the enslavement comes down again. Because you can't have the rabble-rousers figuring out that they've been doing the wrong thing the whole time. That they've been on the wrong side. And I'm not telling you the Trump side is the right side. The only side that was right was to stay out of this one. Be an American. Not a Democrat, not a Republican, not a BLMer. Be an American. And learn the concepts of freedom. That's what Thanksgiving's about. Sharing. Being kind to each other. Loving each other. And this may be, unfortunately, the last historic, the last real, true, traditional American Thanksgiving. With that being said, folks, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. I really appreciate it. If you need to keep up on what's going on, and I encourage you that you do, because once everything is kind of settled in here in a week or two, there'll be a lot going on the website. We're going to be trying to push that website a lot, and that's www.jlebang.com. That's what we're going to be focusing on in 2021. It's going to be our main priority, building up us. We built up a lot of other people over the years. Now it's time to build up us. And we're hoping you stay tuned with us. And we'll see you next time. Until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again. I'm John Lebang saying Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. And we'll see you real soon. Signing off for now from the Banger Studios.
T-minus 10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.